Assalamu alaikum dears, and greetings to all of you. Welcome dears to this video. I would be delighted to introduce an informative and quick session in this channel, which focuses on Islamic finance insights. Please support us by subscribing and following upcoming videos. So, let's start our session. Contracts and instruments. Interest, because of its prefixed character, is a unifying influence on thought, principles and practice in conventional finance. This character per se is not the reason for its abolition in Islam, as wages of labor and rent of land, too, are prefixed elements of cost in business. Interest is singled out for abolition because it generates various sorts of injustices in society and perpetuates them. However, its abolition has for the present left Islamic finance looking conceptually weak. The literature on the subject shows, for instance, much avoidable confusion in the usage of the terms principles, contracts, and instruments, whose divergent and overlapping explanations abound. Principles guide the shaping of the contract. Contracts are agreements between parties based on their free consent, reciprocal consideration and status as a lawful object. Instruments are the documental outcome of contracts that are salable in the market. Perhaps the term mode better unifies the implications of the three terms. Naturally, Islamic arrangements had to be interest-free. Initially, this anxiety moved thinking away from the fixed return modes of financing. Islamic banks, unlike conventional banks, could not depend on lending activities or the extension of credit on interest. Earlier literatures thus had an exclusive commitment to equity-based financing modes, mudaraba or musharaka. The modes giving fixed returns to investors had to wait for approval until almost the turn of the 20th century. Today, the modes that Islamic institutions use for financing are classified into two broad categories. 1. Participatory modes, where finance is provided directly to the projects. The modes include mudaraba, musharaka, and muzara. 2. Modes that provide finance indirectly, such as by trading, are based on a generic notion of sale and involve the deferment of one liability under the contract, either the payment of the price or the delivery of goods, to a future date. Murabaha and its variants fall in this category. The modes of Islamic finance are derived from Islamic jurisprudence. The corpus of juristic or legal maxims provides the guidelines that help to structure these modes and also facilitate their validation under varying conditions. A maxim is a general rule that covers all thematic ramifications. It is taken as a self-evident truth that requires no proofs. Legal maxims are theoretical abstractions in the form of short expressions conveying the maqasid goals of Sharia. They improve our understanding of the Sharia. Maxims were evolved gradually in parallel to the development of fiqh Islamic jurisprudence. They vary with the level of abstraction and scope. Some apply to specifics, others are of a general sort. 5 of those falling in the generic category are called normative maxims and apply to the entire gamut of fiqh issues without distinction. They capture the essence of Sharia as a whole. The remaining ones have stemmed from these 5 maxims. For example, a person is considered innocent of a charge unless and until the charge is proven. The benefit of the doubt always goes to the accused. The implication is that a certainty can be overruled only by counter-certainty. The maxim is usually applied in criminal cases, but it can be invoked in civil suits as well. In one case, Saleh promised a school that he would donate a specified amount of money by year-end. The trustees, relying on the promise, undertook a contract with a builder for repairs. Saleh later backed out of his commitment. The trustees lost the case in the lower court on two grounds. First, the trustees could not prove to the satisfaction of the court that the promise was ever made. Second, there was no consideration compensation involved, even if the promise had been made. On appeal, the High Court reversed the judgment. The evidence the trustees produced regarding the promise having been made was held to be acceptable, and the argument of consideration was overruled as the trustees had their intention to use the money for repairs known to Saleh. Thus, Saleh had to pay the money plus a fine. Saleh and school in this illustration are fictitious. In this point we reach to the end of today's session. I hope that this video provided an informative and quick session. If you are interested in this area, kindly subscribe in the channel because we are planning to provide deep information as well as the latest reports and news about Islamic finance. We look forward to your subscribing, your like, as well as your suggestions in the comments. Have a good time and best regards.